Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Shlee, your hostess with the mostest, and this is going to be our dog vlog, The Road to Red. You guys will understand what that means here in a little bit, but first, if you don't know me, hi, my name is Ashley, better known as Shlee online. I'm a 36-year-old American expatriate who moved to rural Bavaria, Germany a little over 6 years ago. I moved here to be with my current now husband. We've been married a little over 2 years and I love it here. I love living in Germany. It's definitely very different from the US, and we'll touch a bit on that in terms of finding a dog and all of that kind of stuff. But if you didn't know from the title of this video, this is the what breed of dog we decided on getting, why we decided on that type of dog, and why now. 6 years after I moved here. Fully prepared. Please forgive the nutcracker in the background. Haven't taken him down since last year. He just kind of lives there permanently. And, you know, my doll and whatever. I had to find a place to film, and this was it. Also, if the quality is poor, which I hope it won't be, but if it is, it's my camera. I'm using my phone. In any case, so let's get into it. So like I said, my name's Ashley. I'm 36. I've had dogs pretty much my whole life. When I was around 8 years old, I think my dad got into dog showing, and he was really into the breed American Staffordshire Terriers. So they are a bully breed, a pit bull type dog, and I fell absolutely in love with them. And his dad and stepmom showed Portuguese water dogs, which are another fantastic breed, and they used to breed them. So they not only showed them, they bred them. And so, like I said, kind of my whole life I grew up with animals. My mom's mom always had toy poodles. That was kind of her breed of choice. So I was always constantly going to dog shows and being around dogs. My dad at one point had 3 dogs at a time. And they were fantastic, and I absolutely adore dogs. I'm definitely a dog person. When I was around 10, my mom and stepdad got me a puppy, which in hindsight was a terrible idea. They wanted nothing to do with the dog. They let me, as a 10-year-old, be fully responsible for the dog, which, that's rough. But she was a Labrador Rottweiler mix named Shadow, and she was absolutely gorgeous. She was crazy, but I loved her to death. She was huge. It was very difficult to walk her. And we actually gave her up to a farm belonging to a coworker of my stepdad's when we had to move from Illinois to Colorado. In Colorado, when my brother was 5, my mom got him a dachshund because she loves dachshunds. Which says a lot, and if you don't know dachshunds, that's okay, but they are not a breed I will ever have. And then they'd gotten a second one not long after that, and when I was 19, I moved to Indiana, and that is where I got my now 17-year-old mutt, who currently lives in the States still. He was 11 years old when I moved here, and unfortunately I couldn't bring him with me. He was 11. I didn't think that for a senior dog the flight would be great for him. I didn't know if he would fit in here, how he would feel. He's a bit of a Houdini, so if he wasn't feeling comfortable or safe, or if I left the house and he wasn't feeling comfortable, he would have just escaped. And my brother especially loves him, and so he lives currently with my brother, and he's the little king with my brother and my mom and my stepdad. He's still like a puppy. He's still alive, 17 years old. I think completely deaf at this point and going blind, but still jumps like a puppy up onto the bed, goes for walks, they go to the park, they do, they go in the river and all kinds of stuff. So that's a little bit about me. My husband, Killian, is from Germany. His mom is from Ireland. So he speaks both languages fluently. He always had dogs growing up with his mom, and his grandmother also bred dogs. She bred Kerry Blues in Ireland. So we're both pretty well versed in having dogs. Both kind of dog people. He's more of a cat person than a dog person. I'm more of a dog person than a cat person. And we're about to have both. Currently we have 2 cats, a Maine Coon who is 4 years old. Her name is Ellie, and she's a goblin. And Sarah is the 11-year-old cat who is half Persian, half European short hair mix. She's adorable. She's a very sweet old grandma. Yeah, so I touched on when I moved here, not being able to bring Addison. But getting Addison, he was the first dog that was really mine. And I got him from a shelter in Indiana when I was living there for about 6 months or so. I've always kind of, as much as I love dog breeding, especially in America, I've always been kind of under the adopt, don't shop policy. There's a lot of dogs looking for good homes and shelters, whether they be puppies or senior dogs or everything in between. And if I was still living in the States, that would absolutely still be my stance. I would definitely still be of the mind that you should adopt, not shop. There are tons of fantastic shelters and group, and what they do is really, really amazing. Unfortunately, here in Germany, it doesn't work quite the same. So I won't talk too much about Addison, except to say that I had him for 11 years. Very, very seriously, as a person who suffers from depression and anxiety, I do not think I'd be alive today to be making this video if it hadn't been for Addison. He was my heart dog. He kept me alive through some really rough stuff. So I'm very thankful to him. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to raise him and love him and call him my own. Yeah, and I'm really, really glad that I got him out of a shelter. He was 14 weeks old when I got him, so still a puppy. And like I said, he's still kicking. He's 17. So then I moved here. 6 years without a dog. Part of that was leaving Addison obviously at home. The other part was we live in a multi-family house. We were downstairs with Killian's dad. We currently now live upstairs, where Killian's grandma had been living. And unfortunately, both she and to some extent Killian's father had some fear of dogs, and they weren't really willing to let us kind of make that leap while she was still living here. She moved to a facility last year and unfortunately passed away back in February. And now I'm gonna sound heartless, but it is also an opportunity for us to finally start actually seriously looking at getting a dog, which is something I've wanted since the day that I moved here. I think if you were to ask my husband, he would say that like the number one thing I've wanted and asked for is a dog. They're just fantastic companions, and being able to take care of something else helps me take care of myself better, and that's very important. But yeah, we just couldn't, and so we ended up 4 years ago adopting our Maine Coon at my behest because I wanted a cat that was more around the house. I love Sarah to death, but she's definitely not my cat, and she really loves to be outside, and that's a conversation for another time. Please don't comment below about outdoor cats. It's very different in Europe. We wanted to follow the adopt, don't shop policy. I'm a very big advocate of that. I feel like there's a lot of dogs, obviously, especially in the States, that die in shelters that don't need to, and they deserve good homes. And actually, the way that we started out was looking for homes from some kind of shelter or rescue organization, not only because the dogs cost a lot less than from a breeder, but because I want to save all the damn dogs, like Rachel Fusaro says. You know, I want to give dogs good homes. And we looked around and we'd found a couple. We met with a dog who I think was part husky from one rescue. The lady from the rescue unfortunately decided against us for her family. And then we found another one outside of Munich. And that whole story is a very long one and very frustrating. But suffice it to say that through everything that went down with that dog and that rescuer, I came to realize that here in Europe, we don't have puppy mills like we do in the States. In the States, there are literal facilities with dogs where they breed puppies and they overbreed them and they have defects and they end up in shelters, and there's a huge, huge problem. In Germany, we don't really have that problem. When you go to a shelter to look for dogs, the vast majority of the dogs that are there are either senior dogs or have been given up by their owners for behavioral problems, or both. There's very few young dogs. I almost never see puppies. These dogs stay in the shelters for years because they can have behavioral problems, they can have aggression, and it's really unfortunate. But also, when you've got 2 cats and an elderly parent at home, you don't want a dog that's aggressive. You can't really do that. You can't have a house with no animals, you know. We have very specific criteria. We needed a dog that would get along well with our cats and wouldn't want to chase them all the time. We needed something friendly. We have people that come over. We have lots of family. We have friends. So they needed to be okay with strangers, all those kinds of things. And unfortunately, what happens is that the rescues don't actually rescue dogs from Germany. The rescues are rescuing dogs from places like Romania, Hungary, Croatia, Greece, sometimes Spain, lots of places where there aren't a lot of dog protections in place, not a lot of regulations. And what happens is these are street dogs. And having spoken with my friend Cam from Norway, who has multiple years training dogs under her belt, along with many other cool zoological experiences. She's like our resident reptile expert and just all around really cool person. So hi Cam, shout out. You know, she was saying a lot of them, they're street dogs, and it's generations of street dogs. They find these puppies, but their parents were street dogs, and their parents were street dogs, and their parents were street dogs. And so what you're really doing is taking these dogs that are so used to living on the streets and taking care of themselves, and then trying to re-domesticate them, and it can be really, really difficult. And so with a lot of these rescue dogs, that's kind of exactly what it is. It's a whole bunch of street dogs, and the experience that we had was really unfortunate. We thought everything was going to work out great. We knew that the dog had a couple of issues, but they were things that I was confident we could work through, and unfortunately, it really didn't work out. That left a really bad taste in both mine and Killian's mouths. And we decided, instead of going through a rescue and having to deal with all of that, it would be so much better. It would match all of our criteria if we went through a respectable breeder, somebody who cares about the breed that they're breeding. That's sort of where we headed. And so we talked a lot about what kind of dog we wanted, what our favorite breeds were, why we liked those breeds, and we ended up with a pretty short list, honestly, of dog breeds that we wanted to look into. So we thought about an Alaskan Malamute, an American Akita, the Appenzeller Sennenhund, or Appenzeller Mountain Dog, Basenji, Bernese Mountain Dog, Boxer, Dalmatian, Doberman, Eurasier, a Great Dane, Great Pyrenees, Icelandic Sheepdog, Newfoundland, Norwegian Elkhund, St. Bernard, and Samoyed. And that was our list of dogs that we were looking at. Couple other ones, a Corgi, just because they're so cute with their big fat butts. And my husband is enamored with pugs. We both obviously know the health-related issues that come with pugs and their breathing and the brachiocephalic breeds. But he loves their personalities, and he thinks, you know, you don't ever meet a pug that's not just full of love and life and happy to be around. And so we'll see. We've looked into retro pugs, but those haven't worked out quite yet. We do know a breeder. We've been in contact, and so who knows, maybe next year or the year after that. But yeah, so we made this list and sent it to Cam, because like I said, she's kind of our resident, super knowledgeable person. And, you know, part of our requirements was we were worried about grooming as well. And a lot of if you look at our list, a lot of the breeds require extensive grooming rather. The Malamute, the Akita, the Bernese Mountain Dog, the Eurasier, the Great Pyrenees, the Icelandic Sheepdog, the Newfoundland, the St. Bernard, the Samoyed. They're all really, you know, double-coated, heavy-shedding, long-haired breeds. And we knew that would be kind of rough for us. I sent the list to Cam, and she looked at the list and she laughed a little bit, like, it's weird to see Basenji in there of all things, like, out of all the other breeds and then that one. But they're actually really cool dogs. If you guys want to know why we picked the breeds that we did, please comment down below, like the video, and I will make a video of all the different dog breeds that we thought about and ultimately decided against, and why, you know, we're interested in those breeds. That's not to say that we'll never have any one of the breeds on the list, just that for our first breed of dog together, we actually went with a suggestion from Cam. So we sent her, it's not even on the list. We sent her the list, and she was like, you know, I really see you guys with some kind of Sennenhund, mountain dog from Switzerland. She said you should look into the Greater Swiss Mountain Dog, Große Schweizer Sennenhund, because they're a very large dog, which is what we were really into. They have less grooming needs, but they're very friendly, kind of like a Bernese Mountain Dog, just without, you know, the long coats and all of that. And so we were like, oh, that's kind of cool. So we started looking into the Greater Swiss Mountain Dog and reading up on them. The size appeals. I've always liked Molossers, which is what they are. So like Mastiffs, Great Danes, big dogs. I love big dogs. I want a dog that is hefty enough to hug and lean against and roughhouse with. So a big dog was always on the list, and you'll notice that from most of the dogs that were on our list. On top of that, they are really friendly dogs. They tend to be pretty nice to strangers. They're not like a protection breed necessarily. They were actually bred to work up in the mountains in the Swiss Alps. Part of them, they used to be called the poor man's horse. Because if you couldn't afford a horse, if you had a couple of those, they would pull plows. So they, unlike Huskies who run, obviously, you know, mushing and stuff like that, these guys are also built to pull, but for endurance, not speed. And yeah, so they used to pull plows and all that kind of stuff, and you can actually still see that today. Lots of people still train them to draft with wagons and stuff like that. Although part of Killian's reasoning for wanting a bigger dog like this as well, he actually really wants to train the dog to carry packs and stuff like that. So when we go hiking and everything like that, the dog can carry, you know, its own essentials and everything like that. You know, that's a big deal for Killian. He really wanted a dog that we could really go hiking and wandering with. And these guys have a good amount of energy, but they're not, you know, crazy super hyper. They're very smart. They aim to please. And like I said, they're really friendly towards strangers and stuff like that. And that was really important to us because we do have a lot of people that come over, and, you know, Killian's dad will be coming upstairs and stuff like that. And we don't want a dog that is going to think, okay, this is my area and I protect my area and I keep everybody out. Grooming was a bit of a factor, so having them be short-haired was really great, and they're very large, and so we kind of fell in love with the breed. Yeah, went from there. I started doing a lot of research through the VDH, is how you'd say it in English. In German, it's the VDH, and it's basically like the AKC, but in Germany. So the American Kennel Club, but obviously in Germany. It's where you find all the registered breeders who follow breed standards and, you know, do dog shows and this kind of thing. And so started looking here in Bavaria. And it's so funny because we live in Bavaria, but we're right on the border between Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg, which I think is the same in English as it is in German, but I could be wrong. And so I was looking in Bavaria, and most of the breeders you actually find are closer to like Nuremberg or Passau or Munich, so further east of us. And I'd already found a breeder pretty far east of us, further east of Munich, right by Passau, and then realized that if I looked in Baden-Württemberg south, I would find breeders a little bit closer to us. So there's actually a breeder who's only about 45 minutes away from us. So if we do in the future maybe want to get another Greater Swiss Mountain Dog, which is what we ended up with, then that's where we'll look. But the breeder that we're getting ours from is in a place kind of near Passau, just past Munich. It's like a 2.5 hour drive. But yeah, so found them, contacted them to find out when they were having another litter. And I think this is back in April, and he was like, we're planning on breeding our dog in May. So if you guys can get in touch with us in June, about a month after, then we'll know for sure whether or not everything went well. and the dog is pregnant or not, and we're gonna have a litter. So we waited and we called back in June and got the information that yes, there's a litter, there's at least 5 puppies in the litter, and so we asked to be put on the list. And in July we called and we're told that on July 12th, Bonita had her litter. That's her name. The mom's name is Bonita. She had her litter and there were 7, 5 boys and 2 girls, and we'd wanted a boy, so that was really fantastic news for us. And we made plans to go and visit them. So August 20th, I think it was, we actually drove all the way out there and we got to visit the puppies. Unfortunately, about 3 weeks after the puppies were born, the second girl passed away. They don't really know what was wrong. She seemed to be just fine, and then she wasn't. But all of the other puppies are nice and healthy. We got there, 3 of them had already been reserved. So the other girl was already reserved and 2 of the boys were reserved. And I'll insert footage here of us seeing the puppies and the different collar colors and all that good kind of stuff. Our choice was between blue, orange, and red, I believe, were the collar colors. And orange was a chunky monkey. He was huge. Super big chunky boy. And it was so funny because I was sitting there and I'm picking up the puppies and I was holding orange, and then I picked up the red collared one. And I was like, oh, he weighs a lot less. They were like, really? I said, yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. So they weighed orange and he was like 5.3 kilograms. And then they weighed red and he was 4.8. So about a pound of difference, which I totally absolutely noticed. They were like, oh, that's like, they hadn't even noticed it, hadn't even thought about it, but I definitely did. But yeah, and so we played with the puppies for quite a bit. And it was so funny because we'd already picked out a name. If we were gonna get a girl, we would have called her Maple. But if we were gonna get a boy, we wanted to name him Red, aka Redwood. My husband's starting a carpentry business and I thought a wood theme was really, really cute. And we really liked the name Red because not only is it a color, but you know, redwood seed, and it just seemed like a good name for a dog. And so as time went on, the little red colored one kind of warmed his way into our hearts. So we already had the name Red picked out and we ended up picking the red colored boy. So I'll insert a picture of him here and take a look. Super adorable. So I guess that's sort of the what breed is the Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. The why, because we really fell in love with the breed itself, what the breed is supposed to be like. It matches kind of our aesthetic. I don't want to say we have aesthetic criteria, but there are certain dog breeds that we're just not huge fans of. And I love the tri-coloring on them. I love that they're a big breed. I love their dumb faces. They're just so cute. Yeah, and the why now is that finally we have the ability, the time to raise a puppy, and you know, the ability to give it a really good home. And it's well, for me, definitely it's time. So that's our little story about why we picked the breed that we did. A lot of you were asking, and so I just wanted to make a little video to kind of let you know what we were getting, why we were getting it, all that good kind of stuff. If you guys have any questions about the breed, you want me to dive deeper into the actual breed of dog, if you want me to create a video about the other breeds of dogs that we thought about getting and why we ultimately settled on the one that we did, or didn't pick those. If you want any other stories or videos or anything like that, please leave a comment down below. Reach out to me on social media. Most of the people watching this are gonna know me in person, so you know how to get a hold of me, and let me know. And I would be happy to make more videos. Stay tuned, because this week or next, have to figure out exactly what the schedule is going to be and when I'm going to film it. I'm going to do a puppy haul. So all the stuff we bought for bringing a new puppy home, why I got the things that I did, what's still on the wish list, some of the other items that I got, and all of that good kind of stuff. And then that'll be coming up as well, so you guys can kind of see my thought process on the things that we got. I'll talk a little bit more about all of the research and everything that I've been doing, and we'll get into that. And then later on in the series, you will get to see our trip out to Bad Bernbach, which is where we're going to stay the night before we pick up the puppy next week. We get to pick him up on Tuesday, the 13th. But yeah, so we get to pick him up a week from Tuesday. I'm really excited. And because the drive is so long, 2.5 hours, we decided that we were going to stay overnight at a place called Bad Bernbach, which has like a thermal pool and kind of like, you know, wellness spa, whatever. So we're going to stay there overnight and then pick him up the next morning, because a 2.5 hour drive there, then picking up a dog, 2.5 hours home, and then trying to get the dog settled in and still want to play with him and get him used to everything and all of that stuff just feels like way too much on one day. So I think us doing the overnight trip is actually going to be really fantastic, and we're gonna take some video of that and put that up and put up his first day home, and then we'll see where everything goes. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, sticking with me through this whole thing. I've never done this before. But thank you for joining me for our first dog vlog, Road to Red, which now you understand where that comes from. And we will definitely see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, y'all. Talk to you later. Mwah. Good boy. Video now. Excuse me. Why? Hello. Weil ich schwarz bin oder was? Ja, hi. Ja. Awa. Yeah, good boy. Yeah, good boy. Oh, he's got a cute little patch on his eye, like the way his little mask is. And then das, ich glaube, das wird unser. I think that's the one. I think that's the boy. Excuse me. But they're all so cute.